We were so tired of cold winters and snowy roads and icy streets. We were done, and we decided we wanted to travel the world, see everything we wanted to see, stay in perfect weather, and spend less money than what we were spending in the US.
Well, right, because I'm cheap. We've established that. And if I'm going to travel the world, I got to do it on a budget, and I got to do it affordably.
Right.
Because traveling is expensive, right?
Yeah. And what's expensive to us or cheap to us may be different for other people. But for us, we go with a $50,000 a year budget. Whether that's a big number for you or a small number, it's the number that we wanted to live more affordably on as we travel the world.
Yeah. And I think the big thing for me is that we spent way more money when we were living in Denver, Colorado, than we spend now traveling the world and seeing amazing places like Patagonia, which is this picture behind me right here, which is where we are right now, doing incredible things every single day, spending less money than we did when we were shoveling snow in Colorado.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, this is video 2 of a 3-part series where we're telling you how to travel the world, how to find the perfect weather, which for us is 72 degrees or 21, 22 degrees for our Europeans and non-Americans in the audience, and how to do it for affordably, and then how to do it 1 month at a time. So next week's video is that living a month, 1 month at a time as full-time travelers. So you want to stay tuned and watch that. But this particular video this week, we're going to share with you 5 hacks that we have developed, 5 travel tips that we have developed that helps us stay in an affordable range when we travel the world.
Yeah, and it's not easy, and we have a lot of conflicts and a lot of questions, a lot of, what if and kinds of things. And so this has been a real journey for us, traveling the world for the past 4 years and developing a routine and developing these tools that we want to share with you.
Right, and who are you?
I'm Steve.
I'm Chris. We're with EatWalkLearn. We have been traveling the world for 4 years full time, and we've got some things to share with you about that experience. So last week in our video, if you watched us, so you can see it up here, we gave you the perfect 72-degree itinerary. Each month, a different city, so you would stay in perfect weather. Now, the caveat to that was it wasn't an itinerary. It was like a calendar girl approach to the best month, the best location to be. Now, the problem with that pseudo itinerary is there is no way you could do that itinerary and spend $50,000 or stay on any kind of budget, because we had you flying from Sydney to Mexico City to back to New Zealand to Paris to like all these things. And the number one cost that happens when you travel full time is the travel part of it, those logistics and the airplane flights and the trains and the planes and the automobiles. That's the expensive part. And if you can figure out, like we have, how to eliminate the big overhaul flights and the big, long, expensive transportation part of it, then you can really start to focus on that $50,000 for us.
Yeah.
The challenge to that is the 72 degrees doesn't stay still. You have to move to catch the 72 degrees. And that is the big, big puzzle of this lifestyle.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about that in travel hack number 3. On how we get from place to place affordably. But should we?
Let's start with number 1.
Just jump into it. This one is it's really my favorite.
Mine too.
But not necessarily saving you the most money, but it's definitely saving you the most headaches, and that is to travel light.
Yeah.
And I know this is a really emotional thing. We sold everything that we owned when we left Denver, Colorado. Mm-hmm. We sold our house, we sold our car, we sold all the belongings in it. The only thing that we kept...
Notice how I'm drinking as you say that. This is water, but...
The only thing we kept are some little backpacks and a carry-on bag, the kind of carry-on bag that's small enough that fits in the overhead bin that we could bring on the suitcase on the airplane, so that we didn't have any extra baggage costs, which is one way to save money, but also ease of moving around. We didn't have to worry about getting the extra large taxi or having to pay extra gratuities for people to help us move our luggage place to place.
So while we're talking about traveling light, I'm going to play the video of how we bundle. This is the special way that we pack. And I don't know if I'm going to show you or me doing it, but it's how we pack. It's just bundling. So that's going to be playing as we're talking about how much money we save traveling light. So as Steve said, not only do we save on checking our bags, so usually we carry on our bag. Sometimes we have to pay a carry-on fee. Sometimes we don't. It depends on the airline. Usually, if we have to check the bag, it's not because of size, it's because of weight. And the carry-on bag ends up being too heavy to carry onto the actual airline. So usually it's 10 kilograms, so about 22 pounds is the weight that tends to tip us into either carrying on or checking. Either way, even if you have to pay for a carry-on bag inside the airplane, it's always cheaper than putting it underneath in the carry hold. So
yeah, but I would like to get back to the emotional distress of this, because getting rid of everything that you own and down to, I've got, 3 pairs of pants and 6 shirts.
Yeah, and we'll actually give you a link to our packing list. So if you want to duplicate what we carry, here's our packing list.
Here's the idea is once you get rid of those things, the sense of freedom is amazing. And to know that you can move freely and you can move easily and get around the world. And I don't miss any of my,
I don't miss a thing.
My stuff after 4 years of traveling light and being, clutter free is amazing.
Yeah.
And it definitely is a struggle at first, but once you get over that hump, it's
And then when you need something, like for example, I have this sweater on. We're in Patagonia. I needed to have a sweater. One of my Nomad friends gave it to me. We were in Buenos Aires. She's like, I just came from Patagonia. I don't need this anymore. You can have it. We also use secondhand stores or whatever just to find the things that we need for 1 or 2 days when we're someplace. Okay, Let's move on to number 2, shall we?
Yes, what is number 2?
Long-term stays. This is super important. Like we said, every time you move, you're going to spend money. So if you can stay longer in a location, the less money you're going to spend.
Yeah, this is the one that kind of freaked me out. And we got another travel hack to help out with this. But you think about one night in a hotel room, right? I mean, prices have gone up like crazy.
Yeah.
Think about a night in a hotel room being $150 to $200 per night. Multiply that times 365. Take out your calculator and do that.
Right.
That is crazy. So Chris said that your travel costs, moving around, is your highest cost. I think it's our housing costs, but we've figured out some great ways to lower that. And one of those is to stay at least a month at a time in a particular location. One is it feels great because you get to know places, you really get to experience a place, and if you're in good weather, this is the idea of video 1 was about being in good weather. But 2, you can use tools like Airbnb and get incredible discounts for staying 1 month at a time.
Yeah, so when you go to Airbnb and you book for 28 days or more, you almost always get a discount. It's usually between 20 and 30%. So think of it as if you stay for a month, you get a free week, basically.
Yeah.
So and you can go to booking.com and also do the same thing. Or even if you found a property through a property management company or something, or you've done some alternative way to find a location for a month, if you're going to stay for a month, you can often just ask for a discount because the cost of turning over a unit costs the owner money. And if they can eliminate the turnover fees and let you stay there for a month and not have to market for every night and every week, it benefits them. So you can certainly have some leverage in negotiating that price.
We've got a whole video on this. We can put this link up above. And also, again, like Chris said, being able to contact the host and say, hey, can you do better on the price?
Right.
And a lot of times they'd come back and they say, well, yeah, here, we could do it for this amount.
Right.
And you don't think that you can do that, but these are, again, just little
And all they can do is
hacks.
say no.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you book it anyways. I mean,
Right.
It's like they're not saying, no, you can't stay here. They're saying, no, that's the best price we can do.
Right. Okay. Number 3.
Yeah.
This is something I never thought we would be doing. And number 3 is repositioning cruises. Now, this is a huge strategy of ours. It's a huge hack. So twice a year, the cruise industry needs to move its fleet from one market to another market. And they're chasing the weather just like we are. They're going from the bad weather to the good weather and from the good weather to the better weather, right?
Right.
And so twice a year, it's generally in April and generally October. It varies, by 30 or 60 days, depending on the cruise line. But so we're almost always on a cruise in April and November or April and October. The cruise line is moving. These repositioning cruises are one-way cruises that start in the bad weather and end up in the good weather. And we take these cruises. Now, some of the myths, we're going to put a video up here. The myths about cruising, repositioning cruises are they're understaffed, they don't have the entertainment on them, they're super expensive. All those myths are false. And the value of the repositioning cruise, so these one-way cruises, they basically go from one continent to another. So think Australia to North America, or Mexico to Alaska, or Florida to the Mediterranean. Those are generally the types of cruises we're talking about. The cost of these, when you look at the big picture, not the cost of the cruise, that's when repositioning cruises really make sense.
Yeah, and finding repositioning cruises is actually quite easy if you use...
We use Vacations to Go. We're like our buddy Dean Bloom. Hi, Dean. Over at Vacations to Go. We do book there most of the time, but the best thing about vacationstogo.com, and we don't get paid by them at all, is they have a great search tool to actually find. You can just go to the search filter and look for repositioning cruise or Trans-Pacific or Transatlantic, and they'll come up. But you want to talk about the cost of how you cost out a repositioning cruise?
Yeah, so I mean, the cruise, let's say it's a 14-day cruise, and it's not just transportation to get from point A to point B, but it's also a hotel, basically. It's your night's accommodations for 14 days. It's all your food for 14 days. And by the way, it's unlimited food, and you can really lavishly...
don't be a glutton, honey.
But also entertainment. I mean, every night there's shows and there's casinos and you hang out by the pool. So there's a big entertainment factor. So we don't want to get into all the details about how we do our budgeting, but when you really want to add up what is the value of a cruise, you got to look at all of those factors and put those into consideration. Now, there are some really deluxe cruises out there that you can get, and you can spend tens of thousands of dollars. We particularly look for what is the least expensive room. A lot of times we get upgraded or we pay for an upgrade, but start with what's the cost of the least expensive cruise. And Again, you can do that on the Vacations to Go website. You can change the search to show what is the lowest per day cost.
Right.
And pick the one that goes where you want to go.
Steve mentioned earlier about accommodations being $150 a night. So if you just do the math of 14 days of a cruise, so that's 14 nights or 13 nights of $150 a night, plus 13 or 14 days of food, plus transit. So all of a sudden, those numbers end up being more than what a flight would cost. So that's why repositioning cruises become really affordable to us, is because we spread it over days as an expense rather than a one-time expense of flying. And that's when they make sense to us. So they end up being quite affordable. And for example, I think we went round trip from Sydney, Australia to Los Angeles for, I think it was around $3,000 for the two of us, which was a 30-day cruise or $100 a night. We could not fly and stay 30 nights of hotels in Sydney or Los Angeles for that amount of money.
Yeah. But cruises are not for everybody.
Right.
And you had some issues with motion sickness, with seasickness that you definitely have to deal with. We've been on some cruises across the Bering Straits, the 30-foot seas. You're on a ship for a long time. So some people might have issues with that, particularly on sea days where you're not in port someplace. But the flip side of that is you also get to go to some amazing places that you never would go to unless you were on a cruise. So, for example, what was your favorite stop?
Well, you can't do it right now because the Suez Canal is closed, is closed now. But when we went from the Suez Canal down to Saudi Arabia. We got to go to Reykjavik. Riyadh.
Riyadh?
Reykjavik.
No, Reykjavik's in
Iceland.
Also a place that we've taken a cruise.
Yes. But really love going to Saudi. Right next door was Jordan. We got to go to Aqaba. So really just an amazing place to stop that probably we would never have gotten there.
I mean, my favorite was Tahiti. I mean, always dreamed about going to Tahiti.
Yeah.
And here it is on a cruise stop, and you get to really experience the island life and
even Cape Verde off of the coast of Dakar in Africa. We got to stop there. So yeah,
right,
some cool places.
Cape Verde.
Yeah, you wouldn't get there probably normally if you were not cruising.
Right.
Okay. So hang on for number 5. These tips, I know they're meaty, and each one of these tips could have a video on its own. Hang with us. We've got 2 more coming, and then we're going to tell you the amount of money we save annually with these 5 tools. Okay, so we've been talking about repositioning cruises, but one of the things we really want to emphasize here is after 4 years, we've really fine-tuned what these tools are, and we've really fine-tuned how to do this life. So much so that we've written some books about it. Our first book was 2 Carry-ons and a Plan. That's how to get ready to go and get rid of all your stuff and travel your first year. And then the second book is The Nomad Life, which is everything we're talking about in real life, in all the different scenarios and the ups and downs and the emotional stays of all the places we've been. So we really want to make sure you grab those 2 books. They're available in audio, digital, and print. And also our website has all this information as well, www.EatWalkLearn.com. And then you like to always talk about our Facebook group.
The Facebook group is amazing. So if you want to connect with other people, if you want to have more of a conversation about some of the things that we're talking about, some of the cost-saving measures and tools and hacks that we have, and share your ideas, ask questions, please go to our Facebook group. It's Eat, Walk, Learn, or Nomad Life. She'll fix it. And join us on Facebook. Join us in the conversation.
So our Facebook group is right down below. You'll see it here. It is Nomad Life, but it's called Eat, Walk, Learn on Facebook. Credit card hacking. So first of all, a little shout out. This is a hack that a lot of U.S. citizens can take advantage of, but non-U.S. citizens can take advantage of this too. So the first thing that Americans, U.S. citizens can take advantage of is all these credit card sign-up bonuses. You go to Chase, you sign up for a credit card, you spend so much money, and they give you a bucket of points. You then can use those points for hotels and car rentals and airplanes and cruises and so on, which is great. So a lot of people who aren't from the U.S. can't take advantage of the Visa cards, but they can take advantage of the hotel and airline reward systems. So, you stay at a hotel, you stay 20 nights, they give you a free night, or you get extra points. Same with the airlines. Those are definitely things that non-U.S. citizens can take advantage of around the world. So they're not as lucrative as the ones that Americans can take advantage of, but they are something you don't want to miss out on.
Yeah. Again, I want to take the flip side of this. This is really complicated. Yeah. We're talking about, using multiple currencies, if you will. But because once you start collecting these different points, whether it be from Chase or other banks or the hotel points or airlines points, which are really popular, it gets into a whole different realm of managing it and how do I use the points and how do I use them most effectively. We also have a video on that because we were like, I don't want to use my points.
I'm scared to use my points. What if I do it wrong?
So this is, again, this can be an emotional roller coaster, something to learn and something that you get much better at as you use these credit card hacks to save money. And you can actually get quite good at it. And we know people who are amazing and travel full time, almost without any cost at all by using these travel points hacks.
Okay, so the last one we're going to tell you about is some people will go, I could never do that. We understand that. Some people have never thought about it, so we're going to share with you. And then after we share this 5th hack, we're going to tell you how much money we save from all 5 of the hacks annually. So this last one is house sitting. Now, we're not talking about being a professional house sitter and charging $30 or $40 a night or whatever to take care of a cat. We're talking about using a website called Trusted House Sitters. We love Trusted House Sitters. What you do is you put up your profile as a sitter, homeowners put up their profile as homeowners, and then you say, I want to be in London, England for the week of Easter, Is anybody looking for me to take care of their house or their dog? You go online, you find someone who is, and you match. When you match, you have a couple conversations and you interact and maybe have a video call, whatever. You guys get to know each other. You agree you're going to do the house sit, and no money is exchanged among the homeowner and the house sit. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we have been house sitting all around the world, almost everywhere we've been, except for Southeast Asia. We have house sat. How's it gone?
Exactly. It's amazing. There are. I give you the flip side again. There definitely some more responsibility. You're taking care of somebody else's home, and that's a big responsibility. And you're taking care of somebody else's pet, and that's a responsibility as well. If you like that kind of responsibility, and I use the example with the homeowner says, do you mind cutting the grass? And I'm like, yes, I get to cut the grass. I haven't cut the lawn in 5 years. I get to cut. But anyways, that's me. But the dogs and the cats, the pets that you taking care of, you develop an emotional bond with them. They're amazing. These pets are really fill my heart, and it really provides a lot of joy and a lot of and the homes are more comfortable. They've got sharp knives and nice comfortable beds and nice lush sheets and towels, unlike Airbnbs, which often don't have those things. We've had great experiences at house sits. But I'll mention, the time that the garage door fell off the rails and almost landed on us, and the time that the power went off. I mean, there are certainly different experiences that make house sits maybe a little bit of an emotional roller coaster
as well. But you stay for a month, you're going to save a lot of money. So we got two more things to talk to you about. We really hope you're going to stay with us because number one is, if you watched our video last week, you saw this killer itinerary, but there's no way you can do that itinerary for $50,000 a year. We're going to roll a couple of itineraries for you, and we're going to tell you the cost of all this stuff. So the first is the cost. So these are such low ball numbers. These are at least numbers that we have saved annually each year. So by traveling light, we have saved at least $1,000 a year. By doing long-term stays, we have saved at least $3,000 a year. Points and miles, repositioning cruises, we've saved at least $2,000 a year. Points and miles, we've saved at least $3,000 a year. And with house sitting, and this is such a low ball number, we've saved at least $6,000 a year. So what's all this add up to annually?
I don't know. Where's your calculator? No, I did the math already. It's at least $15,000, and $15,000 is a lot of money, and it means that you can do other kinds of travel and other kinds of excursions. And we've been to some amazing places.
We're in Patagonia because we save $15,000 a year.
Right. You might call them bucket list places or whatever, but we've done some amazing travel over the last 4 years. Wouldn't have changed it for anything.
So speaking of that travel, all right, so we're gonna roll a video. I think it's from last year. This is the itinerary that we did last year, and you can see basically we were in the U.S. Then I think we went to Greenland, and then we went to Australia, and then we came back to the U.S. Now, granted, it was only a couple of continents. It wasn't a big European transfer. You can look at, we've got the same videos for our first year and our second year elsewhere in our playlist. You can go take a look at those. But you can see how we are going around the world. We're staying in 72 degrees, and we're using repositioning cruises as we go from A to B to A to B to C to D to F and E. We're not following that itinerary that we showed last month, but we are staying in 72 degrees, and we're doing repositioning cruises, and we stayed on budget and spent less than $50,000.
Yeah.
So now that you probably have seen the video, your head might be going, oh my God, where did they go? Anyway, it's a wonderful life. We love living it. Next year, we've got a similar crazy itinerary, staying in 72 degrees, staying on budget, but now having done it 4 years, I feel pretty confident we can do it in the next year coming too.
Okay.
So I hope all of these tips have been very helpful for you. I hope you see how the 5 hacks have helped us get around the world and you see our actual itinerary, do you have any questions? What are you concerned about? To give us a comment, type them below. See you next week.
Ciao.